Hello friends, in this lecture let us start that unit number 2 from the subject structural design 1, that is design of steel structures. So in this unit number 2 basically there is compression member, means now we will be dealing with the design of compression members. So first let us see what are exactly the compression members. In your previous courses you already have seen this part, that which one is a compression member and how to identify that, but here let us go into brief for that compression member. So mainly the member which carries a compressive force, that is called as the compression member. In your engineering mechanics you have studied these trusses. In these trusses you know how to find out the member forces of this truss. When we find out member forces, there we can get some nature of those members, whether it is of a tensile nature or it is of a compressive nature, and accordingly we define the member. Like here in this truss we have got these upper chord members and these internal members are with the compressive nature. Here the compression is shown. So the design of these compression members is different than that of the design of the tensile members. So now in this unit number 2 we will deal with the design of these compression members. This is about trusses, and these trusses are resting on the columns at its ends, or if there is a flat roof or the flat surface, then in that case the compression member is on the column. So the column is also one of the compression members. Means basically in these compression members, how many members or what different types of the members we will be dealing. So those are struts, principal rafters either with the single angle or double angle, and then column. In column there is the design of rolled steel section or the built up column. Now these struts or the principal rafters, those are the members of trusses. These top chord members are called as the principal rafters, and the internal members which carry compression, those are called as struts. And column you already know, so that will be the column. Means totally 3 different designs are there. In these 3 different designs, in the first part, those principal rafters, mostly the principal rafters are always designed with the double angle sections. For struts we have options, either we can go for the double angle or we can go for the single angle. Normally the practice is the principal rafter is provided with the double angle and the strut is provided with a single angle. And for columns there are 2 different sections we can use, that is the rolled steel section or the built up section. We already have seen this difference, what is the rolled steel section and what is the built up section. Rolled steel section means it is the already available section in a steel industry or with a fabricator, and built up section means the section we need to form by connecting 2 to 3 different members together. That will be the type of built up section. So for columns, if it is carrying a very light load or very small load, then even that column can be designed with the rolled steel section. But if it is carrying heavy loads, then we need to go for the built up section. So in this unit we will observe all these different designs, means the design of the principal rafter, design of the strut, then design of column. And in all these different means in these 3 types of the compression members, depending on the connections or depending on the section used, that design varies. Means whether you are using single angle or you are using double angle, that too again whether you are providing bolted connection or welded connection. And in case of column, then whether it is rolled steel section or it is a built up section. Then for built up section some more additions are there, like lacing system, battening system. All these different connections are there. So we are going to observe or we are going to study in detail all these different cases of the compression members. So when we are designing that compression members, means when we are finding out that compressive strength, then there are some factors which govern that compressive strength of the members. So now let us see one by one what are those factors. The very first one is the material grade. The steel which we are using, what type of the grade that steel has, it changes the strength of the member, or it governs mainly that compressive strength. Because in all those formulae we need to deal with the strength. We have studied that Fy or Fu, ultimate strength of the member, yield strength of the member. So if material grade is changing, these Fy and Fu will get changed and it will affect or it will govern that compressive strength of the member. Then next to that there is a cross section configuration, like it is the angle section or it is the eye section or it is tube section. Different cross sections are there, and depending on those different cross sections even that strength changes. So that is why that is the another factor which governs the compressive strength of the member. Then there is the length of column, short column, long column. What that length the column has, accordingly also its compressive strength will govern. Then support conditions. You already have studied different support conditions, simply supported, or if we are talking about the column, then one end is hinged, one end is fixed. Accordingly its effective length changes. Okay, if both of the ends are fixed, then also its effective length changes. So to get that effective length, the support condition is the main governing factor. Then there are residual stresses. What are these residual stresses? Means after the application of load, that member carries some load, but if that load is removed, then means it is not removed with its full amount or with 100%. After removal of the load, even some stresses are remaining on that member. So those stresses are called as the residual stresses. And then imperfections. Means now we are defining some cross-sectional properties. Like suppose we are saying it is angle section with 90 by 90 by 6. It means we are saying that the leg length is 90 mm, but it may happen that due to some problem in while the manufacturing of that section, some imperfection might be there. That length will not be totally 90, or it will be more than 90, 91 or 92 mm, or even it may vary in the thickness. So that will also govern that compressive strength of the member. So likewise, these are the different factors which govern the compressive strength of the member. Next to that, there are modes of failure for this compression member. Modes of failure means what exactly? In what manner the failure can take place for the compression members. That is called as the mode of failure. So there are different patterns along which that failure can take place, and those patterns are called as the modes of failure. Let us see one by one. The very first one is local buckling. First of all, let us see the difference between this buckling and bending. Means that local buckling, next to that there is squashing, then that overall flexural buckling, and torsional and flexural torsional buckling. So let us go one by one for these different modes of failure. The first one is local buckling. So while studying this local buckling, first let us know the difference between the bending and the buckling. So what is exactly bending and what is exactly buckling? Normally we use that term bending in case of the beam and buckling in case of the column. Why this difference is there? Because in case of beam, the load is transverse load, and because of the transverse load, whatever this deflection is taking place, that is called as the bending. Means bending takes place because of the transverse load. And in case of the column, there is an axial load. Now what is the difference between the transverse load and the axial load? The load along the length of the member is called as the axial load, and the load perpendicular to the length is called as the transverse load. So in case of beam, that load acts perpendicular to the length, means that is the transverse load. In case of column, that load acts along the length of the column, so it is the axial load. And because of this axial load, whatever this deflection takes place, that is called as the buckling. That is why in column buckling takes place, and in case of beam bending takes place. Now in buckling, here we are saying local buckling. So what is that local buckling? So when only some part of the column is getting buckled, then it is called as the local buckling. Like here you can see, in this column this I section is used, and in this I section only at this part this buckling has taken place. So this is called as the local buckling, means only some portion of the column is getting buckled. That is called as the local buckling. And if the complete column is getting buckled like it is over here, then it will be called as the flexural buckling, overall flexural buckling. So this is that local buckling. Next to the local buckling, there is squashing. What is that squashing? mainly takes place in case of the short column. When there is a short column and that load is acting, then that distortion takes place in the cross section of the column, and that is nothing but the squashing, that crushing takes place. Mainly in case of the concrete, that crushing happens, or here in case of the steel, that distortion will takes place. Its dimension will get changed. Likewise here, if the load is acting on the column, especially in case of the short column. So this is called as the squashing of the column. This is one of the modes of failure for the compression member. Then overall flexural buckling. Already we have discussed what is that overall flexural buckling. Means when the complete column is getting buckled, like here you can see in the first diagram, this complete column is buckled. So that is overall flexural buckling. And then at this central portion, what is happening, that is shown in the further diagrams. Next to that, there is torsional and flexural torsional buckling. So first of all, what is that torsional buckling? Torsion means it is twisting. Means when that column is getting twisted, that is called as the torsional buckling. And flexural torsional buckling means what? There is the flexural buckling, and along with the flexural buckling, the torsion is taking place, means the twisting is taking place. Then it is called as the flexural torsional buckling. So with the help of these diagrams, you will get that failure, that what is exactly happening. First of all, this is that flexural buckling, column is getting buckled, and then torsional buckling means what? Here even that axis, the original axis was this I-axis. Now because of the torsion, it has changed. Here you can see, this was the original one. Here this is tilted axis. So because of that, this flexural torsional buckling is taking place in case of the column. So these are different modes of failure of the column, and depending on this, means to avoid all these different modes of failure, we need to provide appropriate safety factors or appropriate design parameters, and then only that proper design of the compression members can take place. So in further parts, we will see that how exactly all these different compression members are designed. Thank you.